Next on Worcester News tonight, Worcester is celebrating Black History Month with a look at some important people from the city's past. Plus, the Worcester County House of Corrections offering a unique program and introducing their newest member. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The City of Worcester continues its celebration of Black History Month Friday. The Black History Project and Worcester Historical Museum teamed up to shed light on two significant African-American women who made an impact in the city. Tonight we're hearing from a relative of one of those women. Our Cam Jandro has the story.
Bonetta Kufor is a direct descendant of Bethany Johnson Veeney, a freed Virginia slave who migrated to Worcester in the mid-19th century.
She was very fortunate that she was bought by someone from the north, and they brought her up here and never made her a slave again. She was very fortunate. That doesn't always happen.
Kufor shared the story of her ancestor at the city's Cultural Hour, a celebration of Worcester's Black history. Bethany Johnson Veeney would go on to buy 3 homes in the city, where she housed her family after they escaped the South.
I'm not ashamed to say she was a slave. She did what she could do. She wasn't a learned person, but she was a strong person.
Cultural Hour is a diversity inclusion initiative hosted by the City of Worcester.
So it brings us closer together to get to know one another, and it brings that common ground that we're not that different from each other.
Friday's presentation also shared the story of Sarah Ella Wilson. Wilson became the city's first black school teacher when she took a job at Belmont Street Community School. Worcester's Diversity Office wants stories like these to resonate with its residents.
And Bethany Veeney and Sarah Ella Wilson is not that far-fetched from tons of folks that live here, and they're very much a fabric of Worcester.
Veeney died when she was 103 years old in 1913. More than a century later, Kufor is proud of her history.
I just think Black history is not just February, it's every day. I tell my granddaughter, when you wake up in the morning, you see Black history every day. Be proud.
Now, the City of Worcester will continue its celebration of Black History Month on Thursday, February 21st at the Worcester Senior Center. They'll be recognizing the city's first registered black nurses. Anna?
Thanks, Cam. The City of Worcester has entered agreements with 4 more retail marijuana businesses. They include Nudia on Cambridge Street, Cultivate Holdings on Southbridge Street, Monroe Associates on West Boylston Street, and Sunmass 2 on Millbrook Street. The city says the retail and manufacturing sites are expected to create close to 300 jobs. The 4 shops still need final approval from the Cannabis Control Commission, Planning Board, and License Commission. This would bring the total number of retail stores in the city to 13. By state law, the city's required to allow 15.
Some still have I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, and so that process will be ongoing until we get the last 2 in place. And it does get a little trickier because after you've cited 13 of them, you have the locations, and so again, we don't want clustering of these, so we're purposely looking for locations that'll be, reasonable distances from the other locations.
The city manager says he expects to reach agreements for the final 2 spots within the next month. Veterinarians in the area say they're seeing more dogs coming in after ingesting marijuana. And while it most likely isn't fatal, they say it could pose some long-term complications to your pet. Our Chandler Walsh has more.
Veterinarians at the Foster Hospital for Small Animals at Tufts University are treating more dogs for marijuana toxicity since the state legalized recreational use. ER vet Liz Rosansky says they see 20 to 25 cases a month and aren't sure if it's a growing issue or if owners are just being more honest.
Because there's marijuana products out there, it's easier for people to come by, and I think sometimes, particularly for some of them, they forget they have it in their purse or in their backpack, and then the dog goes in there and grabs that.
Though it's rarely fatal, Rosansky says they're concerned about the long-term effects and complications. She says most dogs are back to normal in a day or 2, but symptoms vary.
People notice the dog's not themselves. Their pupils look usually dilated, a little funny. The animal is very sleepy but hyper-responsive, so if you call their name, they're really startled, and they'll often be dribbling urine.
Paw Steps Veterinary Clinic in Northbridge is preparing for a possible uptick in affected dogs in the next several several months. Veterinarian Catherine Claunch says they've seen cases where dogs have ingested their owner's marijuana. She says to be vigilant and be careful where products are stored.
Keeping them up in a cabinet or a drawer somewhere that it's not going to be found, knocked over, gotten into, because some of those do smell like something dogs want to get into.
Vets say dogs most commonly get into edibles. It's a concern because it affects them more since they typically weigh much less than their owners.
The other side of it is that dogs are more sensitive, so they have more receptors for these drugs and they tend to bind more tightly, meaning that when the effects hit them, they tend to be more severe.
Claunch says one bright spot, owners are becoming more likely to admit their dog found their stash of edibles since it's legal.
If we don't think about it, we can't treat it, we can't test for it, we can't pursue it.
Rosansky says Tufts sees up to 1 to 2 cases a day now. They do urine tests to determine the cause and say if they know it's marijuana toxicity, it's very treatable. At the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
The Worcester County Sheriff's Office offers inmates a unique opportunity through the Project Good Dog program at the jail. Friday, we're introduced to their latest edition. Meet Gracie. She's the newest pup to join the Project Good Dog program at the Worcester County House of Corrections. The program adopts dogs from local animal shelters and pairs them up with inmates.
They come in, they're not in great shape, and compassionate towards the creatures, so I help them get better. We give them some medications. Some of them are emaciated when they get here. We feed them good.
Christopher Shaw and David Bonifant are 2 of Gracie's handlers. They've trained other dogs in the past who have been adopted to loving homes. Bonifant says it's a rewarding experience.
It just makes us feel better knowing she's getting comfortable with us, and it makes me happy seeing stuff like that because we all made mistakes, so now we get to make up for them and see something positive come out of this whole experience.
Gracie's only been a part of the program for 2 days, so she's still a bit shy. But Bonifant and Shaw say they believe Gracie has real potential.
My goal would be to have her get out of her shell, be comfortable with everybody, just see her get up healthy, get her weight up, and just be happy.
I'm healthy in body and mind, and get them to a good home.
The handlers say the average stay for each dog is about 2 months, and once they're finished up with their training, they say they're adopted pretty quickly. Well, now we moved to Worcester, where a 16-year-old North High School student was arrested this week. Worcester police say the juvenile physically assaulted a police officer at the school. Police say the incident happened in the school's cafeteria when an altercation broke out. The student's charges include assault and battery on a police officer, and resisting arrest. The investigation is ongoing. President Donald Trump declaring a national emergency this morning to get up to $8 billion for a border wall. The president says America is suffering an invasion of drugs, gangs, and people make it necessary to go around Congress and access the money. Closer to home, the president's action is drawing plenty of reaction. Our Olivia Lemon has more.
I'm going to be signing a national emergency, and it's been signed many times before.
Presidents have declared almost 60 national emergencies in the last 40 years. 31 are still in effect. Political scientist Erica Cornelius-Smith says she's never seen a national emergency declared over a domestic issue like border security.
Usually we see them in relation to issues overseas with hostile governments or foreign states. So we have emergency declarations right now involving Syria or Zimbabwe or North Korea.
The assistant professor at Nichols College says she understands the president may be frustrated at how slow-moving the process can be to get the money he needs for border security, but calling for a national emergency is not necessary. Friday, President Donald Trump made the move in order to get up to $8 billion for his border wall.
I want to do it faster. I could do the wall over a longer period of time. I didn't need to do this, but I'd rather do it much faster.
We'll probably see fairly quickly some kind of challenge in at least one of the federal courts, maybe multiple challenges in court.
State Senator Michael Moore says regardless of what the president thinks of the process, everyone is supposed to work together in a democracy.
You've got the president, you've got the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Congress. Those three entities are supposed to come together for a compromise, and this is not a dictatorship. And they're supposed to agree on the funding of these projects.
Moore says this sets new precedents for future presidents.
What happens, okay, when President Trump is out of office and now you have a president come in that declares that we have a national emergency or crisis as far as health care, or that with gun control. Now they can use this precedent and move it towards that direction.
Trump says he's ready to fight for the wall, even if it's brought to court.
It's a great thing to do because we have an invasion of drugs, invasion of gangs, invasion of people, and it's unacceptable.
Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
Payless Shoe Source is closing all of its stores. The chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2017, closing hundreds of its stores. The remaining 2,100 stores in the U.S. and Puerto Rico will hold liquidation sales starting Sunday. All the stores will remain open until at least the end of March. The Worcester Senior Center hosts a holiday concert for dozens of seniors Friday. Jerome Riley, a former member of the Platters, sang Valentine's-themed songs, and the audience was loving it, with many singing along and dancing. Riley sang some of the Platters' biggest hits like Only You, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, and Beyond the Sea. Riley says music is something people of all ages can enjoy and celebrate.
Music soothes the soul. It calms the savage beast. Thanks to wonderful people like this young lady, they're keeping it alive, and we're bringing it to senior centers like Worcester.
It's just a wonderful Valentine's event, so it was a good turnout. I think about 100 people.
The event was sponsored by Griswold Home Healthcare.